Well, alright, I guess we're back for another one. Yesterday we checked out Outlaws at Thunder Junction. Loved it, pretty cool, excited to see it. Next we're at Commander Masters 2, oh, sorry. Modern Horizons 3. Well, okay. First, we'll check out the elephant in the room. Not really. I'm sure there's something much closer to an elephant, but we'll get there in a second. We're gonna check out the new the Sacklands first. Bloodstained Mire, Floodstrand, all those guys. They're all reprinted in this. New arts, full arts, all that stuff. Again, we just got the Shocklights and Ravnica remastered, and now we're getting the Sacklands here, as well as basic lands, snow-covered wastes, which I don't think they're a thing before now, are they? No, yeah, snow-covered wastes are completely new. Isn't that cool? Snow-covered, huh, interesting. We also have all basic lands, which by the looks of things, all of them have Eldrazi in the art, which I think is freaking awesome, by the way. I can't wait for them to cost $10 a piece, that way I can't afford them, but oh well. I think it's pretty cool to be getting all of them. I'm hoping the Sacklands drop down in price a lot, making them affordable. Wizards has been doing a really good job at dropping prices on expensive cards, so I hope they keep that up with this. But let's get into the actual cards, the ones that we pay attention to. First up, Ajani, Nacatl Pariah, I think is how you say it. One in a white, one colorless and a white. Legendary creature, Cat Warrior. When Ajani Nacatl Pariah enters the battlefield, create a 2/1 white Cat Warrior creature token. Whenever one or more other cats you control die, you may exile Ajani, then return to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. That is a 1/2, by the way. So it's a cheap Ajani drop, but you flip him over and boom, he's Boros. Isn't that crazy? He turns into his Planeswalker form. Cool. I was kind of upset that Ajani was such a major part of All Be One and March of the Machine and March of the Machine Aftermath, and his only Planeswalker form, or his only Planeswalker card, or any card for that matter, was in Dominaria United. I was kind of hoping we'd get something more with him. In his cool armor would have been nice, but we're getting him now again, a new Boros form. +2, put a 1/1 counter on each cat you control. 0 to create a 2/1 white Cat Warrior creature token. When you do, if you control a red permanent other than Ajani Nacatl Avenger, he deals combat damage equal to the number of creatures you control to any target. Pretty good. And -4, each opponent chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifice the rest. I'm pretty sure blue has a card that does that exact thing. So now it's in red-white, which is cool. It's something that's been done before, so it's kind of a shame that that's a Planeswalker Ultimate. It would have been cool to see something a little more unique, but that's fine. That 0 ability is pretty cool. I should mention that this is my first time looking at these cards, so my reaction is completely raw. His +2 is, oh wait, that's a +2. Ain't that something? I like this. I like this Ajani. I think it's cool. It might be my favorite Ajani to date. I'm a big fan of red-white, so that's not surprising, but still really cool guy. Alright, next one, That Heralds the End. 2 colorless, 1 colorless, and 1 colorless, according to the mana cost. Creature, Eldrazi Drone, uncommon, so if you wanted to do this in Pauper and maybe get 2 cards that do its activation, but colorless spells you cost with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Okay. Other colorless creatures you control get 1/1. It's Eldrazi, so they're not really gonna feel that 1/1, and value 7 or greater costing 1 less. This thing isn't really gonna help out that much. I mean, sure, it can make a big difference, and it is an uncommon. It'll go a long way, and it's another colorless Eldrazi, but they do have a commander precon that 5 colors, and they even decided to throw the colorless on the end, which was an interesting choice. But I think it's gonna be all right. It's an okay card. I think it's definitely gonna be, if it's in the pre-con, it's gonna be one of the ones that you can substitute out unless they make some pretty bad picks, or this is really good. I'm not an Eldrazi player, so I can't really see much value in it, but things being things that cost 7 or more costing 1 less, why spend 12 mana when you can spend 11? It's like, I don't know. I won't see much use in it, but it's okay. It's okay. Next card, Psychic Frog. Blue-black creature frog, 1/2. Whenever Psychic Frog deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Discard a card, put a 1/1 counter on Psychic Frog, and exile 3 cards from your graveyard. Psychic Frog gains flying until end of turn. I don't think there's really much to say about this. It's just a creature that's okay. When he deals combat damage, period, draw a card, and then you can immediately discard that to give him a 1/1, and then you can exile cards to give him flying, so it's harder to block. It's just one of those all-arounder things that does a few small things really well, and they're meant to go together and make something cool. I don't know why a Psychic Frog can be able to fly, though. Can frogs jump really far? I'm thinking back to elementary school in this one. That's where they're pulling from that, but still a cool creature, I guess. I'm sure there's gonna be some niche places for it to go, but I'm curious to see where that goes. Alright, next card, Flare of Cultivation. 1 colorless and 2 green, it's a sorcery. You may sacrifice a non-token green creature rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle. A new ramp piece. It's basically Kodam's Reach, I think it is the one where you put 1 in your hand and 1 on the battlefield, except this one costs 1 more, but you can sacrifice instead. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. I don't really think there's much to say about this one either. It's just kind of a ramp spell. It's gonna be put in a lot of decks, I think. It'll see use, especially because you can just sacrifice a creature. It can't be a token though, which is kind of a shame, but who's to say? There's not really much to comment about this one, just a ramp spell. Alright, next one on the list, Scurry of Gremlins. It's 2 red-white, instant enchantment. Whenever Scurry of Gremlins enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 red gremlin creature tokens. Then you get an amount of energy counters equal to the number of creatures you control. Pay 4 energy counters. Creatures you control get +1/0 until end of turn, and gain haste until end of turn. Wow, when I saw this card first, I overlooked it as a reprint because it had energy counters in it, if that's what they're really called. It says it on here, and I've never dabbled in them myself, but to see that they're back is funny, because it's been a long time. I think it was before War of the Spark that we saw them. So it's curious that they're back. So I don't know. It's cool enchantment. You get two 1/1s, and then you get potentially a ton of energy counters, because if you're playing like goblins or something in red-white, who would do that? But who's to say? You could get a crap ton of them, and it doesn't tap for the 4 energies, so I suppose you could just unleash and give stuff like +20, 0, and if you are doing tokens, then easiest win of your life or something. I don't know. Until someone plays an Aetherize, and then you're dead next turn. But I think it's cool. I like that they're bringing energy counters back. I hope that it's not the only card that does that, like how Itali was the only card in March the Machine that had Infect. It wasn't even really Infect, but it was something. So I'm excited to see if something else or other cards work with energy counters, but yeah, next card. Alright, last card on the list, the big one, the one that's got everyone's eyes. Emrakul, the World Anew, 12 colorless, legendary creature Eldrazi, 12/12. Whenever you cast this spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. Flying, protection from spells, and from permanents that were cast this turn. When Emrakul, the world Anew, leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all creatures you control. Madness, pay 6, colorless. I believe Madness is if you're going to discard it, or if it's going to go in the graveyard, you can pay it instead. Also, something interesting to note is you don't have to shuffle this into your library. This goes to your graveyard. So you can just recur this. That's kind of... I'm hoping that's not just an overlook on their part. Uh-oh. all of them get shuffled back in, but not Emrakul. This card is definitely gonna be used by some people. Definitely Big Eldrazi. Gaining control of all creatures, cool. And then you have to sacrifice all creatures. Could you imagine blinking Emrakul? You put her in, you get every creature someone controls, and then you blink her, she comes out, sacrifice all of them, and then she comes right back in, do it to the next person? That would be awful and toxic, and I am here for it. Only thing is, she has protection from spells and creatures until the next turn. Or creatures that were put this turn cannot do stuff to her. So you'd have to blink using a creature that's on the field, which isn't terribly hard, but you are in colorless, so if she's going to be your commander, I don't know how much stuff there is that can do that. So who's to say? I could see this Emrakul potentially being banned in Commander too. The one thing I'm more interested in is the moon is behind her. I didn't think we'd be seeing the payoff anytime soon. So if Modern Horizon 3 gets a story, which I don't think it will, I'm curious if this is just their way of saying, hey, Emrakul's leaving Innistrad. Bye-bye. She'll be back. You've been waiting for a payoff with the Eldritch Moon set. No. no, you're not. Bye-bye. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with that. All right, well, that's going to do it for Modern Horizons 3 for today. All the spoilers that were revealed at MagicCon Chicago, I think it was. I think it was Chicago. Yeah, Chicago. It's a fun word. Well, anyways, I will see you later. I will see you guys next time, not later, unless you're gonna go watch my video from yesterday. If you haven't already, you should. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It'll keep me making these, and I will see you later.